Graphics in video games have undergone a monumental transformation over the decades. What started as simple pixels has evolved into immersive, photorealistic worlds that blur the line between gaming and reality. Today we're going to look at the incredible journey of video game graphics from the pixelated classics to the cutting-edge visuals of modern gaming.
Just last night, I was lost in the jungle with Pitfall Harry, surrounded by giant scorpions and man-eating crocodiles.
The story of video game graphics begins in the early 1970s. Back then, graphics weren't about immersion or realism, they were about functionality. Pong, one of the earliest arcade games, exemplified this simplicity. 2 paddles and a square ball were all it took to captivate an entire generation. These bare-bone visuals were a reflection of the hardware limitations of the time, but they also set the stage for what was to come. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, arcade games like Space Invaders and Pac-Man were leading the charge. Developers began experimenting with sprite-based graphics, creating colorful and recognizable characters that became cultural icons. Pac-Man, for instance, was a yellow circle with a mouth, yet his design left a mark on gaming history. These games proved that strong visual identity could make even the simplest graphics memorable. The rise of 8-bit consoles like the Atari 2600 also pushed this even further, introducing players to games that were rudimentary by today's standards, but groundbreaking at the time. Pitfall showcased side-scrolling environments, while Asteroids brought dynamic object movement into play. Although realism was far from reach at the time, these early games laid the foundation for the gaming industry's rapid evolution.
Decide to step up to this kind of power, this kind of challenge, this kind of flying, crashing, feeling. When you decide to get serious, there's only one place to come, the games of Super Nintendo.
The transition to 16-bit gaming in the late 80s and early 90s was nothing short of revolutionary. Consoles like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis introduced a new level of detail, with thousands of colors, larger sprites, and more intricate animations. Suddenly, games didn't just play better, they looked stunning. The jump from the blocky graphics of the NES to the rich, vibrant visuals of the SNES was eye-opening. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is a game that demonstrated just how much more detailed environments could become. The game's overworld was lush with forests, rivers, and dungeons, each brimming with personality. Meanwhile, Sonic the Hedgehog showcased the Genesis' ability to deliver fast, smooth gameplay while maintaining a colorful and stylish aesthetic. These games became benchmarks for their respective consoles and games. But this era wasn't just about technical improvements, it was about artistic expression. Games like Street Fighter II didn't strive for realism but instead embraced bold, exaggerated character designs and fluid animations. Developers were no longer limited by technical constraints, allowing them to craft unique visual identities for their games. It was during this time that the industry realized graphics weren't just about clarity, they were about storytelling and immersion. Another key aspect of the 16-bit era was the rise of parallax scrolling, where background layers moved at different speeds to create depth. This technique gave games like Donkey Kong Country and Castlevania an almost 3D-like appearance, further enhancing the player's sense of immersion. With more powerful hardware, developers had the tools to push their creativity to new heights. The 1990s brought the dawn of 3D gaming, a transformative period that forever changed the landscape of video games. Consoles like the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation introduced players to 3-dimensional environments, breaking away from the flat, sprite-based graphics of the past. Super Mario 64 was the flagship title for this new era, offering a fully explorable 3D world. For the first time, players could move freely in any direction, creating a sense of immersion that was previously unimaginable. On the PlayStation, games like Tomb Raider took 3D gaming to cinematic heights. Lara Croft's adventures weren't just about gameplay, they were about storytelling through vast, atmospheric environments. Players navigated ancient tombs, solved intricate puzzles, and encountered polygonal enemies that, while crude by today's standards, were groundbreaking at the time. It wasn't perfect, but it was a glimpse into the future of gaming. PC gaming also made significant strides during this era, with titles like Quake and Half-Life introducing advanced lighting effects and physics-based gameplay. Quake's real-time 3D rendering was a technological marvel, while Half-Life showed how graphics could enhance narrative, creating a seamless, immersive experience. These games weren't just about visuals, they were about using technology to elevate the medium as a whole. This transition wasn't without its challenges, though. Early 3D models were often blocky and lacked texture detail, but the sense of depth and movement they offered more than made up for these shortcomings. Developers were learning as they went, experimenting with new techniques and pushing the boundaries of what was possible with the hardware at the time. The mid-2000s ushered in the era of high-definition gaming, a period defined by the pursuit of realism. Consoles like the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 introduced HD graphics, allowing for unprecedented levels of detail and clarity. Games like Halo 3 weren't just about great gameplay, they were visual spectacles, with stunning sci-fi environments and realistic lighting effects that set a new standard for immersion. Games like Uncharted Drake's Fortune was a watershed moment for cinematic storytelling and gaming. Nathan Drake's adventures were brought to life with lifelike character models, expressive animations, and breathtaking environments. This wasn't just a game, it was an interactive action movie, and it set the bar for what players expected from modern titles. The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, on the other hand, took open-world gaming to new heights, offering a sprawling, detailed world filled with dynamic lighting, weather systems, and intricate character models. Players could explore forests, mountains, and cities that felt alive, making the game a true showcase for HD graphics. This era also marked the rise of advanced facial animations, making characters more expressive and believable than ever before. As developers embraced HD graphics, the industry saw a shift towards cinematic experiences. Motion capture became the norm, bringing a new level of authenticity to character performances. Games didn't just look better, they felt more immersive, bridging the gap between gaming and film.
Right here. I mean, the God of War dynamic plays out in every parent-child relationship. When that clicked for me, I picked up my Leviathan axe and felt truly close to my son for the first time.
Today we're living in the age of photorealism. Modern games like The Last of Us Part 2 push the boundaries of what's possible, with hyper-detailed character models, realistic environments, and lifelike animations. Developers use cutting-edge technology like ray tracing and AI upscaling to create visuals that are almost indistinguishable from reality. A game like Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterclass in world building. From the individual blades of grass to the dynamic weather systems, every detail is meticulously crafted to immerse players in its sprawling frontier setting. This level of detail isn't just about aesthetics, it's about creating a living, breathing world that players can lose themselves in. Cyberpunk 2077 takes a different approach, offering a vibrant, neon-soaked cityscape that feels like a glimpse into the future. Despite its rocky launch, the game's visuals remain a technical marvel, showcasing the potential of next-gen hardware. Modern games aren't just about looking good, they're about using graphics to tell stories and evoke emotions.
Oh, whoa, it's Tatooine! Holy shit!
As we stand at the pinnacle of gaming visuals today, the question arises, where can graphics go from here? With games already teetering on the edge of photorealism, the future isn't just about looking better, it's about how graphics can enhance immersion, storytelling, and player experience in ways we haven't yet imagined. Let's look beyond realism of video game graphics and see what might be a resurgence of stylistic experimentation. As technology advances, developers could have the freedom to craft entirely new visual styles, blending the boundaries between games, art, and cinema. We've already seen glimpses of this in games like Hollow Knight and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which prove that unique art styles can be just as impactful as photorealism. And then there's the promise of emerging hardware, such as VR and AR. These platforms demand not just great graphics, but also intuitive design that bridges the gap between the virtual and physical worlds. In VR, the fidelity of objects and environments becomes crucial for player immersion. Meanwhile, AR has the potential to bring hyper-detailed graphics into our everyday lives, overlaying digital elements onto the real world in seamless ways. So in the end, the future of graphics isn't just about sharper images or more polygons, it's about creating experiences that feel alive. As technology evolves, the possibilities are endless, and and the next generation of games might just blow our minds in ways we can't even predict. What do you think the future of gaming graphics holds? From the pixelated simplicity of Pong to the lifelike worlds of today, video game graphics have transformed how we experience games. So what's your favorite era of gaming? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Bye-bye.